This video is brought to you by Skillshare. Hey everyone, Gaijin Goombah here, and welcome back to another episode of Yokai Hunters, where Japanese monster and media meet to unravel the origins of gaming and anime's coolest characters. And today...
Nope, stop right there. Alright, Internet, let's cut to the chase. I know why you're here, you know why we're doing this topic, and Capcom knew exactly what it was doing when it introduced this gal into Resident Evil Village, Lady Dimitrescu. Classy, powerful, confident, 9 feet tall, absolute dump truck of a booty, cleavage you could lose a Cocker Spaniel in, vampiric, and absolutely ready to pick you up by the neck and gut you like a fish with an honest-to-God smile on her face. Anyone with 2 eyes and a vague understanding of the internet hive mind in the 2020s could tell you, it wasn't just the Resident Evil fans, but the entirety of social media everywhere that exploded when Capcom introduced this gal back in January of this year. Now, don't get me wrong, the first 2 trailers for Resident Evil Village built up quite a bit of hype for this new entry of the series, but it was Big Lady D in trailer number 3 that shifted the gaze of the internet Eye of Sauron to this game.
Yeah, let's be real here. People's big horny on Lady Dimitrescu may single-handedly be the reason why this game is looking to be the best-selling of the franchise. RE Village sold over 3 million copies within 4 days of release. And why do I think that? Well, just look at the article header. They knew what was up. But also looking back, when did Resident Evil Village really start trending online? Between January 17th and the 23rd. The exact same time as trailer 3 featuring Lady D dropped, which itself garnered over 5 million views, almost 3 times as many views as RE Village's first and second trailers combined.
Now, we're not saying that that's a bad thing. After all, we're not only taking advantage of the big lady love, but heck, I'll admit it, I wouldn't mind being ground pounded by her. And don't you worry, the bonk sticks are locked back in the shed, so no judgment. But our love for Dimitrescu goes far beyond her crushing capacity, because underneath her ruby red lipstick, charming sadism, and pancake batter booty lies an insane level of yokai inspiration. And that's not just a theory, that's a fact taken right out of the artist's notes. So for today's video, despite how simple people's love for Dimitrescu may be, we wanted to show just how complex her design origins are. That way, mayhaps folks could find even more to appreciate.
But fair warning right now, in order to properly analyze this big gal, we're gonna have to go into spoiler country. So if that matters, this is the time to bow out.
Also, before we get cracking, we gotta give a big shout out to the folks that brought you this video, Skillshare. We've been big advocates of net-based learning for a long time now. Heck, it's been the entire ethos of our videos and streams. And we're firm believers in the idea that you can learn anything online, but the internet is pretty vast and it's daunting to find a place to get started. Skillshare is one of those places to get started.
Unlike traditional education and pay-by-class services, Skillshare is a community of millions of folks who not only teach their passions, but study them as well. You won't find bog-standard practices like syllabi and homework here, but rather, no-nonsense presentations by passionate people who care more about sharing their knowledge practically than drilling and testing. And there's a lot of topics to choose from on Skillshare. For example, let's say you're wanting to learn a creative skill. Well, there's plenty of classes on fine art, music, animation, photography, and illustration. But let's say you're looking to learn a more technical skill. Well, Skillshare's got plenty of folks who talk about things like marketing, web development, engineering, and entrepreneurship. Personally, I've been using an interesting little class that teaches and defines the Japanese concept of Nikon, or introspection. Which, considering how things are right now, it's been really interesting to learn how other cultures view self-reflection. Yeah, a super different kind of class for sure, but like I said, Skillshare is full of that kind of diversity. So if you're wanting to learn a new creative or technical skill, or you just want to learn something new and interesting, click that link in the description, because the first 1,000 that do so can get a free trial of Skillshare's premium membership for free. No additional ads, no extra hoops, just you, as much free time as you want to give, and your limitless learning from your own home.
Well then, with all this talk of unconventional learning, how about we finally address Dimitrescu and see what she can teach us about yokai?
Big Lady D has a near one-to-one connection with one of Japan's newest urban yokai birthed right out of 2chan, believe that or not, Hashaku-sama. Literally meaning 8 feet tall, Hashaku-sama in most iterations is a woman of impossible height and impossible beauty. And right out the gate, I think that there's something worth mentioning here. See, despite the fact that Hashaku-sama is said to mindlessly utter a deep masculine "po," She is always depicted as an utter stunning beauty of 8 feet tall. I mean, look at her appearance in other media. Fatal Frame, for example, features Hashak-sama in a pants-wetting circumstance, but even then, she's still a tall, traditionally attractive, and classy-looking lady.
I guess for as much as a terrifying apparition can be.
And yes, everyone, I am well aware that there is a very smutty doujin retelling of the tale of Hashak-sama, which I don't suggest you look up. But all that does is to prove the point that she's supposed to be enticing. It's part of her folklore identity. So for anyone that wants to come out of the woodwork and accuse Lady Dimitrescu as being an over-sexualized design choice, I'd have to make the argument that if the RE8 dev team really was trying to take inspiration from Hashak-sama, then the decision to make her a tall, sexy lady isn't a stretch by any means. If anything, making her a hook-nosed hag would have been a far worse take trying to portray a cultural icon.
So to clarify, don't worry if you found yourself simping on Big Lady D. It was kind of the cultural point.
Now then, on the flip side, according to the 2008 creepypasta written about her on 2chan, yes, that is where Hashak-sama actually came from, it's exceedingly rare for this gal to actually be seen. In fact, in this story, only her designated prey could actually see her. But on the rare moments that she is seen, she's always wearing a wide brim hat and either a long flowing white dress or a long flowing white kimono.
And I might have to stop you right there, Chief. Because there's a lot of websites that have already stated that art director Tomonori Takano has said that he got his visual inspiration from Hashak-sama. You're not exactly breaking new ground here.
Oh, trust me, I already know that there's people watching right now audibly saying, "Come on, Gaijin, this is info we've known for the better part of 3 months now." But see, here's the thing you may not realize. All this information that you've seen on these websites doesn't even scratch the surface between these two. The original 2chan post from 2008 that birthed Hashak-sama's story was a first-person perspective retelling of a supernatural stalker. See, the original story states that on the day the author was found and enthralled by Hashak-sama, he was forced to spend a night in a small bedroom. The 4 corners of the room held salt dishes, and the doors and windows were plastered with Ofura protection talismans. He was given another Ofura and a Buddha statue, and told not to let anyone in or out until 7 a.m. the next morning. And as the middle of the night fell, he heard a soft tapping on the window at first, and then the door. Then he heard his grandfather's voice asking to come in. And it turns out that that was actually the Hashak-sama taking on the guise and voice of the grandfather, trying to trick the boy to let her in.
Wait, wasn't that more of Miranda's thing?
Shh, don't interrupt. After a harrowing night, morning finally came. The Ofura talismans in the author's hands and plastered all over the walls were withered and blank, and the salt at the 4 corners of the room had completely turned black. At 7 a.m., the author had to immediately head to the local airport, leave Japan, and never, ever come back. Even then, as the protagonist and his family were trying to get him to the airport, Hashak-sama was following beside the car, tapping on the window, whispering, "Po, po, po." It's stated in the story that when the Hashak-sama becomes enthralled with a target, they pursue them forever. Forever. No matter where in the country they are, unless they leave Japan in its entirety, the Hashak-sama will never stop hunting her prey. Now, I know I'm heavily paraphrasing the story, but are you starting to see some of the similarities here? Not only are both the 2chan post and RE Village's story told in first person, but when dealing with the big lady in white, they are constantly on the run from them. And here's something more. When it comes to Resident Evil Village, Dimitrescu is really the only pursuer enemy in the game. No, the horror fetus does not count, as it's only in the game for a fraction of the time Lady D is, and is mostly on a linear path then. So, combine that with the knowledge that she cannot be stopped, only warded away by isolating yourself in Duke's room, or a shotgun blast to the face, I'd say it's not just the physical design that the art team for Village got inspiration from, but also behavioral game design as well.
Well, I think the internet would be pretty upset if we didn't at least mention that there's also a ton of inspirational references with Dimitrescu to Lady Dracula herself, Elizabeth Bathory, a Romanian countess who, alongside 4 collaborators, were accused of torturing and killing hundreds of women between 1590 and 1600, usually due to them going ballistic on their handmaidens. And when you look at the fact that Dimitrescu and her 3 daughters exclusively had female attendants who they would lash out at violently, had them placed in a torture dungeon, then use them for vile experiments, yeah, that kinda comes all together, doesn't it? And then there's the whole vampire thing. Bathory was believed to bathe in the blood of virgins to keep her beauty, though there were also rumors that accused her of straight up drinking it. And these connections you can easily see in game too, like the fact that Dimitrescu and her daughters are straight up vampires, But then there's also things like the grape and blood wine that's literally called virgin/maiden's wine in Latin, as well as a bathing area with a tub full of blood right next to Dimitrescu's bedroom. Yeah, safe to say there's definitely a mix of European and yokai origins all mixed in, but it really is interesting to see what lengths Capcom went to give this obvious Victoria-era looking lady ghostly origins from their homeland of Japan.
You know, she ain't the only one.
I'm sorry, what?
She ain't the only one. Y'all think that Dimitrescu was the only yokai-inspired antagonist lord in RE Village? Oh, no. She's only the tip of the iceberg. Just like Resident Giant Lady, both the fishy lovelorn Mordeaux and the reclusive Donna and her creepy as heck doll Angie both have intense origins with yokai. And again, this isn't just speculation, it is an absolute fact presented straight from the artist's notes.
Wait, what about Heisenberg?
You mean Dollar Store Hillbilly Magneto? Yeah, I don't think so. That is, unless you think his off-putting connection with Nicolas Cage makes him a yokai.
I just want to fix my daughter.
So do I. Do you have any idea how powerful that kid is? Even Miranda's scared of her. Last time, you freak, I swear to God!
Alright, I'm wrapping this up before it gets any sillier. If you want to hear about Donna and Mordeaux's yokai inspiration, let me know in the comments below. We absolutely need to knock out another Monster Hunter Rise video as there's still a dozen yokai-themed monsters to break down in that game, but I'd be happy to come back to this topic following that video. But before we go, one last big thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. If you'd like to learn a new skill, trade, or a new passion in a pressure-free environment, pop that link in the description. As far as streams go, aside from Mon Hun Rise, imagine a roguelike Castlevania with old kami art aesthetic, battling your way into Buddhist hell. Well, that's Getsu Fumaden Undying Moon, and that's what we're doing every Tuesday, Saturday, and Sunday at twitch.tv/Gaijin Goombah. Hope to see y'all there. But as always, until next time, everyone, this is Gaijin Goombah, signing out.